again. Woohoo!
Yay! It's Friday, November 27th. One
That
day
day
after Thanksgiving.
And it's Black Friday, but I think shopping out there this time of year is probably going to be a lot more online these days. So those of you that are actually in online businesses, I know that a lot of you are thriving this time of year, or even more so in general in 2020. So I just wanted to, do a little celebration to those of you that are, really maximizing out there today. One of the things too that's great in kind of our show today of showing gratitude is that I'm quite thankful that there are more options, because I'm not one that really likes to go to the store today. I actually rather shop online. If any of you are that way as well, let us know, because that is definitely something. I know I'm not the only one out there that likes to shop online during this time of year better.
Oh, sure. Sure not. And I think, talking about being in this time of year and one day after Thanksgiving, and our theme for this week was gratitude, and we were talking about it, and we said, okay, let's take a look and see how gratitude actually changes us and our brain. And we needed to make it a Thanksgiving special edition, because it's all about, I think, you know what? I think we probably could celebrate Thanksgiving every day. I mean, that would be nice.
And people do, which is what gratitude journals are for. And those of you that are journaling today, let us know. If you are doing, like,
here's my gratitude journal.
I have 2 books. I have a 5-minute gratitude journal. I have, where's my other one? I have another one, 26-week one. And then I have my journal books, which I actually do a very focused type of journal. So it's not just like random things. I have a gratitude journal that is related to how I am doing as in my business. Oh, okay. So that is very specific.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of different types of gratitude aspects that I utilize. Now, what we wanted to talk about is how that really helps your brain. And then also reprogramming, as we talk about a lot when you do this more. And I know that a lot of us may or may not really think, oh, why should we do gratitude all the time? But in reality, it is allowing us to be more in the reward state, which takes us out of what we call that threat state in our brains, where creativity lies, right? Where people actually collaborate better. So when you're in that emotional state, there's a lot more positive things that can happen.
Yeah. And how I like to start with the definition is like, for me, that's where we start. So we have the common ground. So we know what we're talking about, because I know that, sometimes, okay, yeah, gratitude, but what does that mean? And how do you actually practice it? So I think these are 2 important questions when it comes to gratitude. And psychologists define it as a positive emotional response that we perceive on giving or receiving a benefit from someone. And it's also a benefit that wasn't sought after. So it's something unexpected. The more unexpected it is, the more the feeling of gratitude grows, right? So I thought we need to start here so we understand why gratitude can help. And so we understand what happens to the brain better when we are in that gratitude state. As you said, it's a lot of that reward state that also has to do with intrinsic motivation, right? Because I'm in that reward state and I like it and I enjoy it, and then I want to do more things with it. So the whole thing that happens in our brain when we express gratitude is that the brain releases dopamine and serotonin. And these are the neurotransmitters that are responsible for our feel-good emotions, right? You get the same when you've exercised after running, jogging, yoga, whatever exercise it is that you're doing. You get the same dopamine and serotonin that boost your mood.
And if we think about our vibrations as beings, and we talk about that a lot, is, you know, that we're all made of particles, right? And we have energy. And little science, you know, in me gets really geeky about this types of things. But in layman terms, because we're all made of energy, that when we are releasing gratitude and these dopamines and the serotonin and anything that's going to make us feel good, our levels of energy actually go up to a higher scale. And not only are you feeling great as an individual, everyone around you is feeling that power. And so it's quite organic in a way and attracting. So you're going to attract even more positivity around you. And this is where gratitude is just one of the activities that we talked about on Wednesday that is really good to practice to get you in that positive mindset. Mm-hmm. And we have a couple of things of 10 ways to become grateful. Did you want to jump right into that?
Yeah. So I think the first one we already did, right? It's keep a gratitude journal. I have to say, I need to be a little bit more disciplined around that, because sometimes, and what I find is sometimes I think about I think when I'm grateful, I think, oh, I'm grateful for this. Thank you for that. I don't note it down all the time. So that is one thing that I can be more disciplined with. And I think also when it comes to journaling, it's important to maybe say, you know what, do what works for you. If you need to record yourself rather than noting things down, then do it if that's an easier way for you to record that gratitude thought, that thankful thought that you have. Because for some people, it works when they write things down. They're the visual communicators, the visual learners. For some people who are more auditory, it's good if you record it with your voice, because you just hear your voice and then it even enhances that feeling of gratitude as you do that. So try to find ways, or both, exactly. Try to find ways that work for you. It's all about being able to embed that as a practice, as a habit.
Yeah, there's so many technologies today that if you can find your flavor of doing it.
Yeah.
And one of the things I do is in the morning, I have gratitude, and I actually do it at night as well. Yeah. For me, it is really trying to make sure that I wake up in the morning and I'm setting myself into that high vibe. And then when I go to bed, I want to also go to bed. I find myself more restful when I do particular activities. So like gratitude, reading, anything that is going to help you relax. I actually have better sleep at night, which we all know from Wednesday, getting more sleep was going to create more of a positive mindset. So just trying to connect. If you guys haven't seen our show on Wednesday, you can find it on our Game Changing Work channel on YouTube. And so you can check that out. And we'll put it after the show, a link into Wednesdays in the description there on the YouTube channel for you guys. So we'll jump into the top 10 ways for the rest of the show. And again, this is all related to your brain activity. They know that when you do practice gratitude, just the act of doing it, even if you don't give it to someone, it still creates this type of stimulation for you. It's even more if if you are receiving gratitude or you actually physically give it to someone. But either way, doing the activity is good for you.
And doing it as a practice, and related to what you said about sleep, the studies show that actually people who practice gratitude on a regular basis, they sleep better because it helps regulate the sleep. And also it aids in stress regulation, and and it also reduces anxiety and depression.
I not only sleep better, but I also wake up better.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel that it has a direct correlation to my productivity for the next day.
Exactly, because what it does is it helps us manage those negative emotions like guilt or anger or shame. Whenever you're in that gratitude state, you go into a different kind of energy, a different kind of mindset. So you learn how to manage your negative emotions better.
Right. And there's 5 of them that will trigger you. If I channel a little bit of what I've learned from my brain-based coaching in the Neuro Leadership Institute, is putting you in the threat state.
Yeah.
And so those 5 negative emotions are the ones that we as human beings really have to learn how to regulate and figure out what those limiting beliefs and things that our perception is actually creating, which is like a whole other topic on that. But let's jump into actually these 10 ways. We keep saying we're going to, and we don't. So we're going to do it. So we already talked about the gratitude journal, but then number 2 is actually remembering the bad. And a lot of people, when we say, oh, well, I don't want to go there. Well, it's how you go there. It's more of remembering how something was and then where you are today. I can look back on so many experiences in my life where at that moment I thought was so bad. And then where I am today and realizing what I have accomplished and what I have gotten through, that's where you should be grateful and have gratitude, because it actually made you either a stronger individual. You learned how to maybe solve problems better because of those learnings. And so I think the key word, taking remembering the bad, is what did you learn from it? And how did it make you a better person?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it also helps. It helps you to see the evolution. It helps you to get into that growth mindset, right? Because you understand, you compare yourself to yourself. When you do that, you stop comparing yourself to what's happening in other people's lives. And you look at, here's what I've done. Here's how much I've grown. And here's how much I still need to grow. But I've done a lot of, so remembering the bad also brings all of the good stuff that you've done in the meantime, and all of that good stuff that brought you where you are today. So,
yeah. And then the third thing is asking yourself 3 questions. And what here are a couple questions. These aren't the only ones, but these are just examples. What I've received from, what have I given to, and what troubles and difficulty have I caused? And this is a meditation technique, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, Nikon. And those of you can correct me because I never pronounce anything.
Correct her in the comments.
But, and I love, I'm trying to learn like different types of meditation techniques because it's challenging. It's not a one size fits all, and there's so many different things that are out there, and you kind of have to, and you know what? I get bored doing the same thing over and over again. I kind of like to mix it up, but that's just my personality. Being us and knowing that we like all the different things, I'm sure maybe, you probably feel that way. Same.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can agree with that.
So I like mixing things up personally on that. And then they talk about learning the prayers of gratitude, and that's really more of the spiritual essence of gratitude. And you can look at it in a philosophical or religious way, depending on where you sit as an individual. It doesn't always have to be religious, because spirituality is also what philosophers did and looked at. So if you you think about some of the things that are out there today.
But I wanna complement that, because actually what gratitude does is it helps us enhance our sense of spirituality, our empathy, our self-esteem, our optimism. And these are important elements. If you look, and we're actually going to talk next week, we're going to talk about happiness and what happiness does to our brain. But these are important elements for happiness. So this is why gratitude actually initiates happiness. That's where it all starts from. And spirituality is a big part of that, whatever spirituality means for all of you. So that comes with the gratitude.
And one thing that I really have been enjoying, and I find this extremely valuable for me, is your senses.
Yeah.
And when you start thinking about what does it look like, what does it see, what do you see, and what do you hear, right? And it could be touch as well, right? The sense of touch. You start to create more of this realistic imagery with yourself, and you remember it more.
Yeah.
And so I have been using actually senses from goal setting to intentions, you name it, right? But for grateful, if you really can start coming to your senses and thinking about it and using those aspects of it, it becomes even more real for you than just some poofy thing that, oh, I feel grateful today that it's Friday. And then it falls a little flat. Well, what about Friday? What do you like about it? What do you see? What do you like to hear on a Friday? Right? How does that feel? And you start to kind of go through that piece of it, then it becomes even more sticky.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, exactly. Because you think it in a way that makes you feel. That's it. You have to feel it. So it just works for you. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Visual reminders.
Yes. Visual reminders, it's that visual image that that you have for, I don't know, one point in time where you felt super grateful about something, and that stayed with you because that made you feel great, and then you will remember. It becomes a super important memory that stays with you, and it has that image that also makes you feel great, right? So this is like, I think about that, I have that image, and it doesn't matter that it's not real now, because it was real for me at one point in time. And what actually also happens to our brains, where when we imagine things, and that's where also visualization works, is that when we imagine things and we feel that, and we feel them, that we feel that they're almost real, because we feel that joy and gratitude when we imagine them, the brain doesn't actually make the distinction between that image that hasn't happened yet, because it's not in our immediate reality, and our reality. To the brain, that's still reality. This is why Einstein said imagination rules the world, because it does. Because what we imagine, our brain believes it. It doesn't make that distinction.
And those of you that are really trying to work towards something, and this is what I've been learning a lot, especially when you are an entrepreneur in your business, like future rehearsing and really visioning what that world looks like, that you imagine, and you do it a lot. You write it in words, and you're thinking about it, because then your brain will start to believe it, and all your actions around it. And so when we talk about being grateful, it's almost like you're being grateful for something, to your point, Roxana, that might not have happened yet, but to your mind, you were already there.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that awesome? That's what you and I imagine, Veronica, about the future of work. That's it, a future of work where people are happy and
Now,
people are proud of.
and then talking about, practicing. So you want to make sure that you practice gratitude, and watch your language is another one. And so it's, what kind of languages are you using? So this is where I am trying not to use the word should. I mean, it was a pretty much de facto vocabulary in my household when I was raised.
Yeah.
So and then everyone around me does still use that. So it is extremely hard for someone that is really trying to change that language and vocabulary when everyone else around you uses the word should. Yeah. I can't. With some other ones here, that we try to be cognizant.
I have to. Yeah, it's like I call it don't shoot people and don't shoot yourselves. It's like that comes with everything that you just said. It's like, how many times do you tell yourself, I should do this, I should do that? It doesn't work.
Yeah. And so they talk about some of the linguistic styles of being, gift givers, blessings, what is it? Fortune, fortunate, abundance, gratitude. And really think about, if you think about now and the being of actually doing something. So I am, I do, instead of something that could potentially happen. And that is where if you're practicing gratitude, it's all about now.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's truly happening now, kind of your point about the imagination. And those words, once you start to channel it, your brain starts to reprogram and start to believe it, which then your beliefs, which is what limits you, and your actions start to change. Now, this doesn't happen overnight because you have to create a new habit. Again, I'm still working on it, but I'm aware now.
No, but
that is the best thing, is being aware.
Yeah, exactly, because that's where it starts, and then you start to create the habit. And it's true, that's where the practice comes in, because that's how you create the habit and keep it in place, right? I mean, that's why it's important to practice it regularly for a longer period of time, so that it just stays there and it becomes part of how you are doing things.
And that is kind of, it is number 9, is going through the motions with that. And that is creating the triggers of action, right? When you start doing something, that's going through the motions, and it becomes habitual once you do it and you repeat it and do it often. And the last one, I know Roxana and I try to not use this terminology, is thinking outside the box. It's really thinking beyond the box.
Yeah.
There are no containers.
No.
And really it's seeing all possibilities.
Yeah.
And so we'll just rephrase it and say, see all the possibilities beyond any limited thinking. And it's big.
It is. And I think with that, but I think that comes with pretty much everything else that we just talked about. So I think everything builds on everything. It's and it's also a matter of us trying and adjusting things, because some things won't work. And we just said we like to mix things. I mean, it can be just meditating, or for me, it's running as well, or listening to music, or just watching the sunrise, or going for a walk, or laughing. It's like laughing with something. It can be all of these bits and pieces that add up. And it's actually just being aware of these small pieces of joy and happiness, and we just add them up and become grateful for them because we notice them. It's all about in noticing, because it's so easy for us to notice what doesn't work, what we wish worked better, what we wish returned to the way it was. It's easy for us to do that. We can start to learn to also notice these little things that actually make us feel good, that make us feel happy and connected to other people.
And that's where
you need to be grateful when you do that.
the saying, is your glass half full or half empty? And when you catch yourself of thinking about circumstances and everything that's happening, are you thinking more in a half empty?
Yeah.
Or a half full? When it's half full, that is where that creativity of that particular situation. And you can think about, say, for example, cooking something and your turkey, like our turkey yesterday, we probably could have like cooked it 30 more minutes. Like the breast turned out great, but when we started carving into like the dark meat and stuff, I'm like, that looks a little pink. And you know what? We could have freaked out. But you know the way I said, like, let's just have the breast meat. And you know what? We'll heat up the rest of it the next day, and then it's going to be cooked.
Exactly.
I was like, who cares?
Perfect.
Because I took the situation and said, oh, the breast meat turned out great. It tastes great. And we were like, cool. It was only the two of us eating, so who cares? And Remy, the doggy, had some too. But we're fine.
Yeah. And I think, and that brings me to your point on, half full, half empty. It's refillable as well, I think. I mean, either way you look at it, you can refill your own cup, refill your own glass at any point in time. It's up to us. And it also depends what you want to refill it with, right? It's your choice. It's our choice to do that. And it's it comes with practice. It comes with how we're used to looking at things and how we want to change our perspectives and how we work on changing our perspectives when we need to. So I think we need to wrap up as well.
It's how you take a situation and being grateful. I was grateful just for the fact is I didn't have to go anywhere. We're always traveling to someone's house for the holidays. I didn't even have to get ready. I pretty much did the bare minimum yesterday. Okay. Just to enjoy that day. Because I was like, I'm not getting ready. I'm not doing anything, spectacular. I'm enjoying just sitting at home and having our meal and didn't have to worry about getting in a car. It was probably the first holiday that I actually was able to spend with my dog because I'm always at my family's and my husband's at his because we're always satisfying everyone else but ourselves. And so I was so grateful yesterday that we said, nope, cancel. It's only us.
Perfect.
We did everything that we wanted to do that day.
Yeah. Okay, so 8:53. Let's wrap up and
Alrighty.
Start with your weekly live MOJO sessions.
Yeah, so I will be on my YouTube channel, the ReThink with Veronica channel. We will be starting some testing out in the month of December because of the holidays. We're only going to have a couple of them. We'll go into full swing in January, where we will be diving into what it looks like in bringing life coaching into your organization. So me being an agile coach, I will cross what does it look like of doing more life coaching in agile, and then just life coaching in general of how that can help you as a professional. And so we're going to talk about a lot of those aspects in the weekly live MOJO session. And I'll have some special guests that they will be sharing what I call stories from the trenches of how they have worked through mindset and also their success. So they can share some of those tips to you.
Perfect. Sounds amazing. And so much related to what we were talking about today. So for me, I have the free bite-sized masterclass series for people who manage people in teams. It's already started. We had 3 days on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 12:30 or 5 p.m. They're identical sessions every day, daily, but with different content from one day to the next. And this week we focus on what we can do to prepare ourselves for high performance, especially in a role where you're leading a team. And we talked about emotional intelligence and mindset and power poses and breathing and diction exercises to enhance our communication. And then next week, we're going to talk about how you can manage your time, manage your team, and manage change. And we're actually going to talk about the distinction between change and crisis. So you want to join me for this masterclass series. It's live on my LinkedIn and Facebook profiles, and also on my YouTube channel, All Personal. And you will have the link to Veronica's event and to this masterclass in the description of this video, so that you can join us and find some super interesting and useful stuff for yourselves.
So as we wrap up, thank you for joining us either live or our recorded sessions. So again, don't forget to subscribe to our Game Changing Work YouTube channel. So then, and click that bell to get notified. So you'll know when we will have all of our live sessions. I probably will post for next week the sessions when we get off here this morning, but they will be centered around, I think, as our theme is happiness, what Roxana mentioned. And so for Wednesday, oh, look at, love it. She's so organized. How happiness affects the brain.
Oh yeah.
We're all about the brain, but there's a reason why, because that is how we can change our actions.
Exactly.
We got to get in there. We got to get in there and start thinking about how we think about things. So enjoy your Friday. Try not to shop too much. Those of you in the U.S. I mean, I know.
And let's prepare. Let's
enjoy your weekend.
Next week. Yeah, exactly. Have a great weekend. And next week, as we jump into December, I just have to say it's going to be joy, cheer, and fun.
Jolly,
right here, right? I mean, really, it's called the holiday season for a reason. So let's bring some joy, cheer, and fun in December on the show. We're going to have some super special guests for you. So stay tuned.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.